10 seconds? Or? Right on the floor.
Is this the Red Barn?
Well, hello. Good to have you with us on Red Barn Radio. I'm Brad Becker. This is season number 19 of Red Barn Radio, and tonight we welcome you to show number 728. Here at Red Barn, we continue to keep our staff and our musical guests safe, adhering to state and local guidelines concerning cleanliness and personal protective equipment. So, ladies and gentlemen, for now, you, the online viewers and radio listeners, are the Red Barn Radio audience with 100% of our attention. This evening, we bring to the Red Barn stage Letters of Acceptance. Letters of Acceptance is a group based in Lexington and Louisville, Kentucky. It began years ago as a series of unfinished recordings and occasional collaborations between Clinton Harlan Newman and John Harlan Norris. Upon both returning to their native Kentucky, Louisville and Nicholasville, respectively, after several years away, the project picked up where it left off, and now having added Tim Welsh on drums and Scott Whidden on bass, LOA, Letters of Acceptance, has released 3 EPs and various singles and has played throughout the region for the past 3 years. Please welcome Letters of Acceptance to Red Barn Radio.
Thank you.
Take all the time that you need. We'll be here till the end. Start all again tomorrow. The days rewind and recede, and there's more to be had, but somehow you didn't know that. You pace around the room and circle the room again. You found nothing new, so you promised to never waste time to see yourself, time to be so still, time will never tell you to take a long way. Take all the time that you need, there's a prize for the first to the end. Take all the time that you need, you can count on the clock to pretend. Take all the time that you need, take all the time that you need, take all the time that you need. When you did, and it might be the thing you thought was the thing, I don't know. The years get looped like a thread, and they tighten themselves, but rarely do they go forward. The thing, the thing, the thing, the thing, the thing, the thing. There's something about you I recognize in my mind's eye. Can see you've left. I'm beyond bereft. I can be there on the next last day. Take all the time that you need, there's a million of you and no them. Take all the time that you need, if the season goes by, let it end. Take all the time that you need, take all the time that you need, take all the time that you need.
Good evening and welcome to Red Barn Radio. Wherever in the world you're listening, welcome to Roots Music Southern Style. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's official radio partner, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. Red Barn Radio is supported by Visit Lex, Lexington, Kentucky's Convention and Visitors Bureau. More information on what Lexington has to offer is at visitlex.com. LexArts, Lexington, Kentucky's premier cultural development, advocacy, and fundraising organization, working for the development of a strong and vibrant arts community as a means of enhancing the quality of life in Central Kentucky. Follow Red Barn Radio on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Here's the host of Red Barn Radio to tell us more about tonight's performers.
This evening we are with a quartet of seasoned players who call themselves Letters of Acceptance. Theirs is a story of historied friendships deep enough to persist over long distances and other sometimes circuitous career paths. Their story is also about serendipity and the kinds of collaborations that occur organically in a healthy music community. We're going to learn more about these guys, and I know you're going to dig what they bring to the Red Barn stage this evening. Please welcome back Letters of Acceptance to Red Barn Radio.
Thank you all. This song is called Lost in the Light. I walked out, elated, in rhythms unfaded, in line for hours. The picture was trouble enough to distract me from words you had sent. In darkness and starkness, the screen glowed and bent my memory enough to remind me to make the appointment tonight. I found my way home, but it feels like I'm lost in the light. Reminders of problems, familiar and deadly, or maybe it's perfect, but probably just living alone in a city where yesterday went with all the necessities, heat from a vent, with money and food and a car to escape from the poison inside. I'm supposed to be here, but it feels like I'm lost in the light. Lost in the light, lost in the light, lost in the light, lost in the light, lost in the light.
next one's called Blackberry Winter. By what I think of you, by what I see in your eyes, by the time we get to the sweet by and by, will it always be the same? Will it always be the same? Or will it unravel? The warmer I feel, the greenhouses reveal a season hereafter. Ooh, blackberry winter. Ooh, blackberry winter. It's an enormous risk, staying up every night until the sun comes back, just to prove the light. What if the freeze is on, just as we're feeling strong, and the tears come pouring? Cover all the beds with old ivory thread and pray for morning. Ooh, blackberry winter. Ooh, blackberry winter. When we leave this land, to the afterlife glow, will there still be a ridge banked by the snow? And is there even time to plan a new line, or am I just stalling? The fence is torn down, a chance to clear the ground is why I come calling. Ooh, blackberry winter. Ooh, blackberry winter. Ooh, blackberry winter. Thank you all.
All right, y'all, this next song is called Lying and Waiting. This song is about something going very wrong.
afternoon descending till dawn. Every signature waved is a secondary ending result. Nothing that you do or say is recorded for a future problem they need to solve. Everybody was great till they saw you reappear, then resolve. You're a miracle base, I'm a lie but I'm pretending to wither on your plate. I'm lying in waiting to whisper words you're saying. You're a miracle babe, you're an office with a ceiling. It's mostly all the same. I'm lying in waiting until I'm levitating. I took you to the door of the spiritual meeting and left. You perform on the floor to the customers you're greeting with death. You got words they never knew, even if they did, they forgot that they knew them till now. It's a combination of familiar and foreign somehow. I know you've been waiting for something to unpause the pulse that has left. It's evenings and weekends of fumbling towards some kind of death. I'm a Mercury moon, I'm a decorated silence, like lightning bugs in spring. I'm lying and faded, and then I'm soul invaded. I'll be here when you're gone, I've been nothing but a seance with fire and everything. I'm lying in waiting to whisper words you're saying.
Thank you all.
Thank you, thank you.
This is a new song. It's called Can't Cancel the Pain.
I'll be dead and gone, and you'll be hanging on, but not for long, or maybe till the sun dies, watching eating French fries. It's funny how the time flies when there's nothing left to underwhelm us all. I wanna water the cords in the wall, I wanna pay to be locked in the room. I'm gonna set up a stage in the stall, I'm gonna wait till the ending resumes. Can't cancel the pain, can't cancel the pain, can't cancel the pain, and I hope it remains. Can't cancel the pain, can't cancel the pain, can't cancel the pain. Words don't mean a thing, and nothing could mean less than words we sing. So maybe we go bum ba ba da 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 la la, ha 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 ha, till the creepy words all start to disappear. Whoever said it would be all that great, it wasn't how we remembered it all. Bury yourself under all that dead weight of waiting up for the self-service call. Can't cancel the pain, can't cancel the pain, can't cancel the pain, and I hope it remains. Can't cancel the pain, can't cancel the pain, can't cancel the pain.
Well, welcome one and all to Red Barn Radio. Our guest this evening is Letters of Acceptance. They are Clinton Harlan Newman, who is over here playing the lead guitar. John Harlan Norris is there playing that rhythm. You heard a lot of that nice jangly 12-string rhythm guitar he's playing. Tim Welch is back on drums and Scott Whidden on bass. Great to have you guys with us. Music sounds terrific.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So, Clint, you and John are the founders of this operation. So I wonder if, before we get to the Center College place where the two of you met, I guess, right? I wonder if we might maybe begin by having each of you sort of individually go back to maybe even to the time when, before you were sort of music practitioners and you were just young people listening to music and taking it all in and figuring out who you were and what place you would have in music. Could you start us off with that, Clint?
The first thing that pops to mind with this kind of music is learning to play guitar. When that happened for me, it was about like 15 or something.
And what was it that you were listening to at that time that made you say, hey, I want to do that?
My dad had some friends, and my dad too, who were real into blues, and I was kind of gravitating a little bit towards that. I'd listened to all kinds of music all my life, and then I just kind of got into that, and then I saw a family friend who was about 5 years older than me. He had picked up guitar, and he had started out playing like Eddie Van Halen. He was very good, and I was very impressed. But then he started playing, he learned how to play, he got into playing blues, which is kind of like the basis of a lot of rock and roll and everything else. So I was just like, oh, you can kind of learn this and apply it in many ways, and I just sort of fell into that and taking guitar lessons. And I said the first thing I told the instructor was I want to just teach me to play the blues, a blues, or whatever you want to call it. And so that kind of started me off. That and discovering like classic rock radio.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of the thing that a guitar teacher likes to hear, right? Is the student who comes along and says, "Tell me where it started."
Right.
Give me the basis for getting a deeper understanding of this music and this this instrument.
Yeah, and shout out, that's Bill Quinn, who was my instructor from, 10-foot pole and Lexington.
Oh, yeah.
Dude about town for a long time.
Wow,
I took the lessons with him in this tiny little like styrofoam lined like cell in Wilcut guitars, long time ago.
Yeah, they stopped doing that now, I guess. So
Yeah,
it's like that. The whole image of that now, for some reason, it makes us all kind of feel creepy. The
Oh,
idea
yeah,
of,
yeah.
a little enclosed
Right up.
space.
I'm
with
not even-
styrofoam,
yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's
hopefully
gone.
we won't feel that forever. But we do now.
Yeah.
And so Stratocaster, is that where you started? Is that actually it certainly looks like a Strat, but it doesn't have any. Is it like a?
It is.
Okay.
The
gotcha.
label came off. That is from Wilcut Guitars.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
All right.
That was like my original good guitar.
And so is that an older instrument? Is it not just relic to look old?
No, it's not. It looked like that when I got it, which is part of the reason why I got it. 'Cause
Oh,
I was
nice.
like, that is the coolest looking guitar.
You never know
I've ever
anymore.
seen.
You see instruments and they look like they're 60 years old, and no, they're
Yeah.
2
I don't
days
know.
old.
I'm not very good about, and I don't know a lot about what year stuff, my gear is half the time. But I don't think the neck and the body are from the same time. It's in the 70s, it's a 70s body and like an older neck, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Well, nice. So
I don't know.
you're not an instrument collector. Or
I wish, but not really.
You don't get into like buying and selling and
No, no,
okay,
no,
gotcha.
no. That makes me really nervous.
Thanks, Clint. Hey, John, how about your story, and then we'll come back full circle to Midway
Yeah.
College and Center, or Center College and Midway rather.
Right. So just like early stuff I was into, musically.
Yeah,
Yeah. So sorry.
we're all distracted because I'm thinking I'm like Midway College, Center College, Danville.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
I apologize, Center
not a
College
big deal.
alums.
Yeah. So yeah, I grew up around a lot of folk music. My family was into that kind of music, and when I was real young, I went to a lot of folk festivals just because my parents made me go.
Do you say folk or folk?
Folk.
Okay,
yeah.
yes, I say folk
music.
as well. Yeah.
And but that was a lot of the music that it was around me. Like I had a lot of acoustic guitars around and dulcimers and stuff around my house early on. But I think I kind of reacted against that because everyone around me was playing that kind of music. So I was just into, whatever I could find on the radio, and I wanted to play an electric guitar instead of an acoustic guitar because that was just a natural, 13-year-old reaction to
But
things
you wanted
around
to
me.
play an electric guitar like a folk rock.
I think
player.
later I unwillingly internalized all of those folk influences. I think that's what happened.
And went to the 12-string
Yeah.
electric. Yeah.
That was something I got later. For a long time, I was real into keyboards and synthesizers. And then when I kind of got sick of that, I think I wanted like a guitar that could also have some of that crazy expansive sound. So I thought a 12-string was like the closest guitar to a synthesizer I could think of.
Right.
If
Well,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then back in your days as a young person listening to a lot of folk music around the house, did you actually start on an acoustic and get pretty good playing acoustic guitar, or?
No, I started on electric. There was a cheap electric laying around, and I got into that. And then I eventually got a slightly better one. And then when I was a teenager, I managed to, in Nicholasville, get a job at the only guitar store in town.
Ooh.
So then I upgraded at that point.
Good gig.
Yeah. My first job was at Kmart, but that didn't last very long. Once the guitar store job came up, I went for that. But yeah, so I guess I just listened to a lot of classic rock when I was young. I think I lived just far enough away from Lexington to where I couldn't pick up WRFL.
Oh.
So like my friends that lived a little closer would tell me about all these cool bands they were listening to, and I'd be like, I want to hear those
And your
bands.
parents were like, no.
Yeah, this was, in early internet times, so we didn't have it at home. So yeah, I was limited by what was on the radio pretty much, and MTV.
And so by the time you finished high school, were you playing in a band and thinking about doing music as at least a serious avocation?
I really wanted to write songs, but I could not figure out how to write songs. And so I would have many sort of half-finished songs laying around. And, eventually, just through force of will or stubbornness, I started to, really towards the end of my time in college, started to be able to kind of piece some songs together. But it was a slow process, a lot of discarded junk along the way.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so go back to your last couple of years of high school and how you decided to go to Danville. It's not that far from where you lived. Mm-hmm. Was that a big part of it, that you wanted to stay fairly close to home, or was there something going on at Danville that really worked for your interests?
Well, my dad had an office job there, so I was able to get a good deal to go there. That's how I ended. Was pretty much the long and short of the decision. Yeah.
Well, that's why a lot of kids end up at the colleges where they go.
Yeah.
And get the best deal.
It's true. Yeah.
And what did you do at Danville?
Well, I was actually an art major, and I actually got really into painting, and that's actually been sort of my career, I guess you could say. Is I'm a painter and I teach painting and drawing. And I think actually kind of somehow learning how to make paintings somehow cracked the code on figuring out how to write songs for me in some
Can you
strange
explain
way.
that a little bit? Yeah, that's interesting.
I think I realized that it's a process and you have to be a little bit more detached from it and understand more formal things like structure and how words rhyme. And rather than, I think I had early on this romantic idea that I had to capture a mood that was happening at this particular moment in time, and either it happened or it didn't. But I think through making paintings, I realized I can develop this more slowly and think about it more like a craft. And I didn't really start writing my first songs that I kept until after that point.
Yeah, and so when I look at your art, now I'm assuming when I go to Spotify and whatnot and see the album covers for your EPs and whatnot, that's your stuff. I don't think of that as painting. I think it looks more to me like, I guess, something I would call graphic art. Or
Yeah, those are just like digital illustrations that I do for the band stuff and posters and stuff like that. But I'll also make paintings. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love the art for the album covers.
Oh, thank
you.
you.
It's really colorful and it's really engaging. I really enjoyed just sort of staring at them this
Appreciate
afternoon. Yeah, it was pretty neat. I hope everyone listening will check that out too. Clint, how about you? So you ended up at Center College.
Yeah.
And how did you happen to go there?
In high school, I thought I didn't want to go to a large school, and that Center fit the bill with that, and I got accepted. It seemed like a good school. Everybody was happy about me getting in, so I said, "Oh, I guess I'll go there." And it was close to home. I wasn't looking at that point yet to venture that far away. I think I was probably a little. I grew up on a farm, in South Woodford County, Kentucky, and so I was, being around a ton of people at like a UK or something like that didn't appeal to me at that time.
Yeah, so
although it would later.
Yeah. So Center really worked for you, though.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
What did you study there?
I studied theater and also sociology. It was a double major there. So I was on course to become like an actor for a long time, and I did that. I was on that course, and I was always playing music on the side. And I went to school for all that, for acting, and got my master's later on, and lived in New York City for a good while. But then I got involved in music in New York City, and that sort of took over the acting. It was more fun, and I just was tired of trying to make it as an actor because the music thing was happening more easily, and it was a lot more fun. So that's how I ended up being in bands and learning how to do this.
Yeah, and you two met how? John and Clinton.
Yeah.
We weren't actually quite at Center at the same time, but we had mutual music friends. And Center was a very small place, so the number of people that were actually into the same kind of music we were into, you could probably count on one or two hands.
Which was what?
It was like
what flavor?
90s indie rock, which is what we were into at the time pretty much. It's, back to 80s and 70s, stuff like Bowie and T-Rex and as well as the Replacements, of course, stuff like that. But yeah, so we had some mutual friends, and then if I recall correctly, after Center, you were in a band called The 100 for a while with some of my friends.
Yeah, we had friends that were like in between our classes at Center who were like, I don't know, it just somehow we all ended up like getting to know each other eventually.
Come a little closer to the mic.
So, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting I'm supposed to talk on the mic.
You're good. Just yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, we had friends in common, and that's how we ended up meeting. And we'd play in the basement, at our friend's house in Louisville, and just sort of figured it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And okay, now to the U.S. map. The Louisville. So you were. How's about the Louisville?
It's
complicated. Let's play that out a little bit.
How will we do this?
So you went to New York. You went to New York at what point, Clint?
That was after. So I went to Center College.
Yes.
And then I lived in Cincinnati for a year, working in a theater there, and then I moved to Louisville for a couple of years, and that's where I had a band in Louisville, and that's where I got to know him a little bit better.
Okay.
He would come in a little every once in a while, and we'd all hang out because we had he was hanging out with our mutual friend.
Sure.
And that's how I met him, and that happened in Louisville, and we got to play a little bit there. But we were soon to depart and go to be very far away for a while.
Yeah,
from
talk
each other,
about your New York experience.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, we both had one.
I moved to New York briefly, early 2000s, And
that's when I moved there, too.
yes.
I was going to grad school, like in, 99 to 2001, and then we sort of moved into Brooklyn about the same time.
Yeah. I hated living in New York, and I realized that immediately.
Yeah, how so?
I just needed more space and more quiet and more like nature around me somehow. I knew fairly shortly after I got there that it was like, I'm going to be here for a fairly short amount of time and then I'll go do something else. I mean, I love going there now for short bursts of time, but it just didn't suit my headspace to be there.
John, were you able to get into music in New York? Some were you, to the point where you were part of some music scene?
Not really. I was only there for about a year and a half. And then I ended up going to graduate school in Louisiana. So I took a big U-turn and went to a very different kind of place. But Clint stuck it out.
Yeah, Clint,
you were there for a long time.
What music scene were you involved in New York? I know you were in a couple of bands, and I sort of took a cursory look at.
Yeah, there's this band called the Mendoza Line that I was a fan of, and found this website where all the members and various friends of theirs were posting all these weird like blog posts and creative writing bits and all this stuff, and I couldn't believe it, and I started commenting on there, and they started talking back to me, and I was like, oh, this is this band I like, and then eventually they were like, hey, let's come. Tim, this guy who was in the band, said, come meet me. You play guitar, they needed a musician, and so I ended up meeting them. They were immediately like, why don't you play in the band? I was like, what? Anyway, that's kind of how my music world started in New York. I'd played in another band, just kind of like hitting little spots around town, but it didn't really go anywhere.
Well, that's kind of dreamy. I mean,
So-
that you end up in a band that you sort of followed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
In New York.
Yeah, yeah, and that lasted a few years, and that band broke up. And in the meantime, I'd met through them some other musicians, and then ended up starting this band with someone else I met there called Bird of Youth. It's that's a project helmed by a woman named Beth Wawerna, who was friends with the Mendoza Line. It was sort of like this weird little time and where everybody revolved around this band. There were lots of friends and fun people to hang out with. So several bands jumped out of that scene as well. Yeah.
Okay, so then at some point in time you said, I'm ready to move back closer to home.
Yeah, my wife and I got married there, and my wife is from Louisville, but we were living together in Brooklyn I was there for almost 15 years, and we were there together for 10 years, but we knew we didn't want to spend the rest of our life in New York, so at some point we pulled the plug. When certain circumstances happened, we were like, well, it seems like it's now or never, so we did it. All of our family's around here, and so we wanted to eventually get back here.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Folks, I'm talking to the members of Letters of Acceptance. They are our guests on Red Barn Radio tonight. We're going to be back to have more conversation with them, but let's get back to some music with Letters of Acceptance on Red Barn Radio.
In the beginning there were fields of laughter, unlike the innocent, the members and all of the bats. Nothing's as noble as the prey you're after. And if you need me to, I'll throw myself off of the raft. I'll reimagine the past. I've got a knack for that. I only wanna be the hanger-on. Prove me wrong, make the trip easier. But something about you is taking me places. Something about you has so many faces. the garbage at the stroke of midnight. In the society they told me I obviously lack all of the qualities to charm and spellbind. But if I follow you, then maybe I'll bring up the back. I'm falling and breaking apart. I never wanted to be smoking your dwindling fire. But something about you is taking me places.
I'm not sure I'm willing to go.
Something about you has so many faces.
I'm not really getting to know about you.
I'm falling
Something about you.
and breaking apart.
About you.
I never wanted to be taking places where
I'm not sure I'm willing to go.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
This next song is called Ghost Boys. This is one of the first songs we ever came up with off of our first EP. And it's kind of about being so certain you're doing something really good, but it's actually really, really bad.
One, two, three.
I felt poor shortly after the war. I met a guru at a bar off the beach. He said, son, you're the cyclical one, and you do better to remain out of reach. We got rich living under a bridge, stealing coins that they dropped in the lake. We retired earlier than required, having made millions off of mostly mistakes. Ghost boys, American toys of clerical assistance to men. False eyes materialize. I'll see you when I see you again. I hope we never meet inside this room again. Crossed paths through a series of facts, communications continental and pure. We went west, we assumed for the best, in search of methods we could glean and procure. Inside a labyrinth of tears, we kept our focus for years. It was an era filled with mostly ideas. Ghost boys, you don't have a choice. It's written in the pamphlet right here. And if you ever want to fade out, oh, I know a million ways to go. Whoa, out past the planet we could wait out. Oh, beyond the weather and the glow. I'm gonna give you instructions to live. You gotta kill someone or die in the dirt. I'm just a gash whose intentions are trash, but if you're off some self, you're gonna get hurt. I'm here, I've always been here. I'm watching just to see how it is. Ghost boys, American toys, I hope that we can never be friends. I'm just a fool for you until the very end. Thank you all. Gonna tune up here for a second.
That song got a lot more chuglin when we got Scott and Tim in the band.
Yeah. We tried to do some duo shows when we first started, but it was like, I don't know, Simon and Garfunkel on NyQuil. NyQuil and Cheetos.
Garfunkel was already on NyQuil. Sorry, Art. This next song is called Lexington Nights. And, you know, if the Chamber of Commerce wants to get in touch with us, we're available. Lexington Nights, Lexington, Massachusetts. No.
It's about a specific place, but universal in that it's about watching television. All right. Y'all ready? Yeah.
I keep a filter in my thoughts. It turns living forms into alternating dots. I keep my hand beneath the desk. It turns angry beasts into geriatric pests. What's my flavor when it's time to make a move? Why be braver when there's nothing left to prove? I'm still around, ear to the ground, when I hear the lonely cry of something new. Lexington nights alone with you. I've got a spider on my floor. If I blink my eye, I'll become a prisoner of war. I've got a plastic matchstick heart. It's a ballpoint pen that tells me when to stop and start. I'm no faker, empty the essential mind. Meet your maker, leave the miracles behind. Remote control, cereal bowl, back here again, drinking with friends, bored of despair, important but bland. And I feel so myself about these shoes. Lexington nights alone with you. Lexington nights alone with you. Lexington nights alone with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we get on to more music and conversation with letters of acceptance, I want to tell you about the Thomas Taylor Band. They're our guests next week on Red Barn Radio. Thomas Taylor Band is from West Virginia, somewhere between Charleston and Lexington, Virginia. And we are so glad to have them with us. Their first album, Another Round, was released in August 2020, did great reviews. They are dedicated to preserving and continuing traditional country music. They're influenced by Western swing music, and they are just about as country as it gets. So slip on those jitterbuggy shoes of yours and join up with us for the Thomas Taylor Band, and that's next week on Red Barn Radio, the Thomas Taylor Band. And we are Red Barn Radio, and we are roots music Southern style. That's what we do. Let's get back to tonight's Red Barn Radio program now. Red Barn Radio is coming to you live on our social media platforms from Arts Place Performance Hall here in the great city of Lexington, Kentucky. And now welcome back Letters of Acceptance to the Red Barn stage.
Thank you. All right, it's another sort of new song. It's called Ballad of the Day.
In the maniacal street, the dead begin to speak. The mansions remain discreet. Clay cold lips. She came tripping down the stairs. The stream was strange. Driven out of my own country, I'm deprived, as you can see. This was my little desire. Will you wield your brand? My life I shall resign to bed for my birthday. I did follow and I found it true until the day my empire reclined. I long so sore to see my own face piteously wasting someone else's time like they so wasted mine. My daily lilt in line, aligning the space in time. Mansions of caramel wine, declined by the subway. My own people wouldn't dare to fall through my fingers. My own people wouldn't dare to fall through my my fingers. They just fall through my fingers. Fall through my fingers. Ballad du jour. This next song, maybe our loudest song. It's called Statue of You. And no way out. I'll be in here for a while. No future, past or cloud. I remember the shape of the sun before it was defiled. No subject left to ruin, nothing to kill anymore. No instrument to tune. I'm in love with the sound and the smell of the floor. I wanna walk back into the room, but there's a staircase instead of a doorway. I wanna brush off history's glue, but my arm is a stone attached to a statue of you. Continents to roam if we're including the moon. Gray hallways far from home. There's a phone in the basement behind the auxiliary room. Record the conversation in case there's a moment of doubt. Trapped at an outpost station, top of the world with a shovel for tunneling out. Walls, no way out. Future casting doubt. Continents to roam. Hallways instead of a home. I wanna walk back into the room, but there's an imposter painted on keyhole. I wanna dust off history's tomb, but my arm is a stone attached to a statue of you. 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 There you go.
That's like an art history rock song.
Yes. which inevitably will be our key to success.
Yes.
Art history rock songs are the next thing.
Yeah.
It's going to go aluminum. All right. This is called Forgive Me If I.
Forgive me if I won't forget the part I always mess up.
Yeah, if you see us all go.
Promise. All right.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2.
I'll be the first encounter twice. Come forth the blessing to blind you from all the fortunes floating by. You might recall my strange advice back from before they defined you. Beware the voices lost in light. Colors cloud my reaction, the signal surface casually. Orchestrated distraction, define where tragic choruses lead. Forgive me if I act strangely. Forgive me if I speak plainly. Forgive me if I click my feet. Forgive me if I, forgive me if I. I'll be an object formed at night, sin to entice and remind you of all the plot holes in your guide. Then all the candidates combine, each piece in place to design you. All rearrangements left aside. Fall in line with your actions, forget which version you'd rather be. Breathing, blinking attractions before you sort out someone to please. I'll be an extra at your door. Version you'd rather be. Inside the movie you ignore. Sort out someone to please. Forgive me if I act strangely. Forgive me if I speak plainly. Forgive me if I slip my feet. Forgive me if I, forgive me if I. Strangely, speak plainly. Click my feet. Forgive me if I, 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 forgive me if I.
All right. Thank you. Wow. If you're just joining us on Red Barn Radio, you're listening to Letters of Acceptance. And if you haven't been here for the whole show, I hope you'll go back into the live stream and listen through it all, or catch the syndicated radio broadcast on NPR. I think you're going to really dig this. Hey, John and Clint, could you introduce the other players in the band?
Absolutely.
Would love for you. Why don't you start with Scott, since Tim stepped off for a minute there.
Yeah, I think Tim, he went to grab some water. He didn't
Oh,
disappear
sorry,
forever.
Tim.
He quit.
So this is Scott
sorry.
Whidden over
I'm
here
sorry,
on
did
bass.
Tim pay for the water over there? Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Scott Whidden over on the bass?
That's right, Scott Whidden right over here on the bass. And we have Tim Welch back here on the drums.
Secret weapon.
Oh, all right. So, yeah, right. We should give him a hand, I think.
We would have no band, like, if it were not, well, A, for Scott, because he helped us find Tim, and Scott is good at booking shows, and we're not as much. So Scott's a big part of this band.
And Tim, in addition to being an amazing drummer, he looks way cooler than the rest of us. So he keeps us sort of like slightly legit in that regard.
I think I'd have to agree. You all look cool, but Tim is, yeah, I would say the coolest, no question about it. But the drummer typically is.
Got them Jim Keltner vibes.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Scott, tell us quickly about you, and what do you do in addition to playing music?
Let's see here. I'm originally from South Carolina. I lived in Louisiana for a very long time. Interestingly, I played in bands in Louisiana, and a long time ago, one of my former bands, a band that I loved called Cortez Del Mar, would split some bills with Mr. John Harlan Norris, but we never ever spoke. Good show, that sort of thing, places like Red Star Bar and what have you, and then I moved to Lexington because I'm a professor of writing at Transylvania University, and I also play with, I release music under my own name. I'm about to have a bunch of singles come out under Scott Whidden and The Best of Intentions. And I also play with, my favorite thing in the world is a Velvet Underground cover band that I get to play in with Tim Welch and a number of other projects. So it's a whole lot of fun.
All right, what's the focus of your writing courses that you teach at Transy?
We're a small school, small program, but I think we have a whole lot of depth. One of my favorite courses to teach is writing for nonprofits. That's super fun. Starting very, very soon for our final part of the semester, I'll be teaching creative nonfiction. So I'm kind of all over the place. I like everything from classical rhetoric to talking about movies. But these guys know I like to run my mouth, so it's okay.
Oh, no, you're doing great. Hey, Tim, you have a microphone back there. The drummers don't always have a microphone here, so it's...
It could be a dangerous combination.
Hey, Tim, tell us about what you do. I know if you don't play music full time, I know you could, considering how many different musicians in town call on you for your services. I've seen you play so many times and love your playing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a long time, 30 plus years, and I have several projects going. It seems like after a long time off, they all decided to have a gig this week.
Oh,
yes.
What do you know? You mean after none
yes,
for a year?
It's crazy. I'm booked up through this week solid and a lot of next week, but these guys, the last thing I thought I would be doing is joining another band. I already had 2 or 3 at that point. I had a reggae band going at the time that I loved, but sadly our main guy later passed away. So,
oh wow!
But about that time, I found out that John, he just lives 5 houses away from me, and
The commute is murder.
Scott gave me some of their music, and I thought, I could really get behind this, and so we've been, I guess, playing almost 3 years now, and I really like it. We've actually recorded an album that is the band. They already had an album's worth of material when I joined, and I had to learn that, but that was a pleasure. But now we've actually contributed some to the newer songs, which we've mixed in tonight. So,
well, cool.
But busy this week.
Well, that's a good thing to hear from a musician right now.
Yeah.
I haven't heard those words spoken for a long time. In fact, on the program over the last 8-9 months, wow, how many conversations have we had about all the many things that sucked about the pandemic? We could rattle, I know, them off in about 10 breaths. Wondering if you guys could talk a little bit about, well, let's first talk about some more things that suck about the pandemic, actually. Like
Feel good hit of the summer.
How about virtual events and virtual concerts? What's your take on those things? Okay, we know the good things. This is all about the negative, if you wouldn't mind.
This
Yeah,
suits us
let's keep it
perfectly.
negative, please.
Well, I mean, I think everyone can agree that the energy is not the same when you're, watching someone in their bedroom play a song on an Instagram live stream or something like that, versus being in a room with a bunch of people, having a sense of like community and just all of the crazy human cacophony that goes on when you're in a big
Right.
show. But, I do appreciate that people have done it. And, musicians are, they're entrepreneurial and they're creative and they figure out ways to do things when times are tough. So, I applaud people for putting together whatever kind of virtual or, playing at the same time in different places. We're not technical enough to do that, but, people have done all kinds of amazing things. We kind of hunkered down and worked on kind of writing and overdubbing and stuff we could do at home. So we didn't really do any sort of virtual shows, but we've been lucky enough to play some outdoor shows, that are safely socially distanced and so on.
Well,
We did a
thanks,
Tall
yeah.
Sound back in the
Oh,
the
sure.
fall.
Yeah,
One of
right.
those parking lot shows.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we
okay.
recently played the Burl just a couple days ago with our friends in Bear Medicine and
Yeah.
the Fanged Robot.
Yeah, that's great.
And it was a sold-out show, and the Burl did it right. Everyone felt safe and taken care of, and we walked out on stage, and I don't mean to be a total cheeseball, but it felt like home, like walking out behind John and Clint and in front of Tim. I was like, yeah, this is what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, nice. Well, Scott is talking about the Burl, one of our sort of great venues in Lexington, Kentucky, that has terrific shows, and that you guys sold out the Burl is a fantastic thing, and you should feel very good about that. And so, as it seems that you guys want to take this to a positive place, so we'll go there, I guess. But yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if any of you could speak to maybe some things that you maybe discovered about yourselves during the pandemic, some things about the life that you live, the habits that you have, that you might call sort of a silver lining to the pandemic cloud.
I'll take a swing at this just for a second.
Yeah, Scott.
I write music for my own stuff. I contribute to other projects. John and Clint have been warmly welcoming to Tim and me to sort of like add to the pile of Legos that they bring to the party. Before this all began, I tried to write every day. Even if it was just a little bit every day, I figured that's just how you do it. It's a craft. This isn't magic. There is a magic to it if you're prepared for it, but a little bit into it when I kind of realized started to realize this was going to be a long time, started to realize it was going to be a minute before we could even figure out how we could do this. I was like, okay, I'm going to write every day. If it's 15 minutes or if it's an hour, I'm going to block out the thing. My wife's a poet, and she is the most disciplined person I know. She has a book that just came out, and she writes every day. It's almost like Major League Baseball pitchers on the rotation. They do the same thing every day. And I was
That must
like,
be very difficult for you to live with a person like that.
it's pretty easy. So, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to do this, and I'm glad. I hate the reasoning that led it to it, but I'm glad that I was able to find it because it's been. I've learned a little bit more about how to put words together, and I'm really grateful for that. And these guys set all three of them. Tim's a killer songwriter, and they set a high bar to meet each up to. So that's what I think all of us are trying to do what we can and start to see the back end of this and play shows and put out records.
Yeah.
And we just had a single that came out last week, which I'm super proud of. So
Which
Yeah.
is actually the first song that we worked up together that hadn't already been recorded.
Yeah, it's true.
Huh. Yeah, and Clint, you mentioned you have twins, and I have heard moms and dads. I've heard dads talk about thinking for the first time ever about a vasectomy, and I have heard dads, and I have heard dads talk about discovering or sort of rediscovering maybe the joy of quiet time with their kids. Can you talk about your experience sort of as a parent artist?
Yeah, I mean, my twins, my girls are 3.5. So when they came along, we basically went into lockdown, but this was before the pandemic. But it required a whole lot of time. And my wife had work that was worth doing, and so she continued to work, and I stayed home a lot with girls. So I got, a lot of good dad time in, which is great.
Yeah.
Because
The early years are the best for that.
I mean, it's been difficult. It's been stressful with kids in the pandemic, just like it has been for everybody. I'm glad we have two, honestly, because they can, play with each other and sort of
Indeed.
socialize. Whereas if we just had one kid, I feel like I can imagine, like, my wife and I and one kid getting kind of intense. So, I don't know. Having twins kind of lets the pressure off a little bit in a weird way. But yeah, it's been hard. The pandemic has made it even harder, though, because before the pandemic, the only time I got to really go out and hang out with friends and it was with band practice and shows and that sort of thing, and the sort of social world that happens around that is great for me. And when you couldn't even do that, that was really rough. And so we just played this show last weekend, and it was just the show was great, but what I really loved was just getting to actually sit around and just hang around backstage and talk with other musicians and just say hi and just kind of chill.
You all were part of a triple bill,
Triple
weren't you?
bill.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Bear Medicine, Fanged Robot.
Yep. But yeah, it's been tough. We've just tried to hunker down and just get our way through it. But I miss just being around people.
Yeah.
As much as I miss playing live, which I do. But
There's this moment, if they're able to, they have this habit before shows where Clint and John disappear, and sometimes it's Clint, John, Tim, and now they're harmonizing. They're warming up the voices. Singing's a big part of this band, and I hadn't heard that warm up for a long time. And we're backstage at the Burl, and I'm futzing with bass and futzing with pedals, and they're sitting on the couch and strumming really quietly, and I heard that sound, and it was awesome. It was amazing. So that's just what we do. We write songs.
Yeah.
We play them. We're looking forward to finding creative ways and being part of creative ways to keep playing them as we transition to whatever happens next.
Can you guys all do some songwriting, or at least three of you, and it sounds like all four of you do.
We all are songwriters.
Right.
Clint and John bring most of the Legos to the party, but
Yeah.
all of us are writers.
Right, and so can you all, and any of you, all of you, talk a little bit about sort of the new places that songwriting has gone for you as you've gotten a little bit older and gone through different life experiences that we go through as adults, having children, getting married, having children, living through a pandemic, all those things.
I think for me, when I was younger, I tried to write dark songs because I thought they were cool. And now I try to write happy songs just to make myself feel better, but they're way darker than the dark songs I tried to write when I was younger.
You do?
I think so.
yeah,
At least in my mind.
that rings true. Yeah. It's like you're trying to make stuff as positive as possible because everything else is so not dread-inspiring right now. So yeah.
Well, I wouldn't. So if the name of the next song coming up after this would be "Zip Up Your Pants," I wouldn't have to ask what it's about. But since it's "Zip Up Your Pockets," I do have to ask what it's about. Where did that song come from?
For me, I wrote the words to that one. I just play around with words and just see what words pop in my head and what sort of things they evoke. I don't typically start a song out thinking about a concept or a theme. And with that one, That phrase just popped in my head, and I didn't know what it meant. And then I thought, well, some like big heavy-duty coats in the winter, like they have a zipper on the pocket. So that means it's really cold. And that just sort of got me thinking about, it's really, really cold and uncomfortable, but you have to zip up your pockets and sort of bear it. And I thought, what could that turn into in terms of a song? And it just sort of opened up a lot of images. This song is filled with a lot of images, but it's not necessarily sort of a narrative you can follow. I think, Clint, you referred to it once as our Twin Peaks song. It's just a very eerie setting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about Let Go Disaster? Can you say anything about that? Anything? Is that yours?
I wrote
Is
that
your
one.
song? Yeah.
I could basically just be like ditto what John just said.
Yeah.
You come up with something that sounds good, that you like, and then you just start singing and see what comes out. And sometimes what comes out is a phrase that doesn't make any sense at first, but those are usually the ones where I'm like, ooh, well, now I can figure out what this means.
But
and it helps you sort of steer around cliches and try to bring out some sort of something new you didn't ever think about trying to do. So
Do you find?
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I think all four of us are. I mean, these three guys are heavy readers. Tim is the heaviest reader I know, and I think we're all drawn to images more so than it's a song about blah. It's here are these images, here are these rhythmic phrases that get kind of put together and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked until you find not just we find what it's about, but it takes us, I don't know, a year of playing it to figure it out.
Yeah, it's not to figure out what the song is about. I mean, it's not like just make up some nonsense. But I mean, you start out with nonsense and then you try to construct meaning out of it, I think.
Yeah, well, that's the lyric. But at what point do you find too, though, that the musical idea is the first image that sort of gives way to the lyric sometimes?
Usually.
For me, it's like a phrase and a melody merging together. When those two things sort of sink in, it may just be a tiny little fragment, but that's usually the sort of nugget that I build a song off of.
Yeah.
It's not one or the other. It's when those two things sort of hit each other. That's when I say, okay, where's the guitar?
That's when you know you have
Where's
a melody. If you have a line of music and you have words, that's not a melody. When they fit together, that's a melody.
Uh-huh.
If you have one without the other, it's not a melody.
Yeah.
So you have to be confident that this is the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sure does sound great. I mean, we've had a great time listening to what you guys do. It's original and it evokes all kinds of different eras in music and rock and pop music, and it's really really cool what you guys have going on. And you got a great sound. Really,
Thank you.
Thank
really
you very
enjoyed
much.
having you guys on Red Barn Radio.
Appreciate
Folks, you're
it.
listening to Letters of Acceptance. It's Clint Harlan Newman, John Harlan Norris, Tim Welsh on drums, and Scott Whidden on bass. Letters of Acceptance. Give them a warm welcome back.
In the pantry there's a medicine-filled donut. It was what I came to see. I was living in a made-for-memory moment. It was stale as it could be. I made money in my 20s in the city. It was fun till it was gross. Everything is everywhere at every moment. Fills you up until you choke. Vertical points of scorn and adulation always look the same. Lower the inputs and plan your visitation, or zip up your pockets and get in line. Either way you'll be broken in. Either way you'll be folded tight. Every day you'll be there in tin. So see you when you arrive. Past the guest house there's a clearing in a circle. You can walk it in an hour. There's a stretch where no one knows whatever happens. There's a hill with a cell tower. Calluses break and peel when it gets colder. Sun and moisture fade. I'll be around here still kicking slightly older. So zip up your pockets and get in line. So take a soft walk out. Get your facts figured out. What's it all not about? Zip up your pockets and get in line. Zip up your pockets and get in line. Zip up your pockets and get in line. Zip up your pockets and get in line.
It's
The
called
song's-
Let Go Disaster.
That's right. My bad.
All right. One, two, three.
Finally happy and in a good place. Mr. Operator, put down stakes in a state of grace. Single entertainer, what would happen if he came again? Model of invention, do you stand out or do you blend in? Peaceful imitation. Let go disaster. It sets like plaster. Not worse, just faster. Let go disaster. I never miss it at all. Safety regulation. Back then, you worked for the law. Painless introduction. Our time here has only begun. Cold-blooded freedom. It's not who you are, it's who you're among. Handsome generation. Let go disaster. Before and after. The tide is falling backward. Let go disaster. Safety regulation. Handsome generation. Mr. Operator. Oh, peaceful imitation. Let go, disaster. Before and after. The tide is falling backward. Let go, disaster.
Thank you all. And now, as they say, for something completely different.
If we had a country song, this is probably it. It's called Frozen Promise.
That's open G for anybody at home, you know. There you go. Taking notes. All right, for all you listeners at home. Ready? Yep.
Yesterday I walked outside, silver disc across the sky, flashed a while, and passed me by, left a scar in my right eye. I won't say nothing about what I've seen. It felt alarming first, but then serene, like I'd seen it twice. Time hasn't passed till it's winter's yours, and I'm holding up a match to your frozen promise. Holding up a match to your frozen promise. I've been here once and now I'm back again. I might stay on or not, it just depends, like it always does. Glacier moves too slow to see, pushed along relentlessly, pacing on and on, kept along, wondering when it all goes wrong. I've got a wallet, watch, and ancient name. I'm someone else, but looking just the same till the ending's done. And I'm holding up a match to your frozen promise. Holding up a match to your frozen promise. I've been here once and now I'm back again. I might stay on or not, it just depends, like it always does.
We would like to thank Letters of Acceptance for being with us this evening. We thank, too, our volunteers and staff for their help in making our production happen each week. And a very special thanks out to all of you listening to our webcast, watching us on YouTube and Twitch, and those listening to us on the Red Barn network of stations all around the world. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's official radio partner, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. It's your chance to hear more great live music from Red Barn Radio and WEKU. Oh, and by the way, today is a day of giving for WEKU. Those of you listening to the live stream, it's probably not too late for you to call in. Those of you here in the Central Kentucky area, be sure to check out Red Barn TV, our weekly program of music, now on ABC 36 WTVQ. Red Barn Radio comes to you from our home, the Arts Place Performance Hall in downtown Lexington, Kentucky. Our website has updates and further information on our guests and our program. We're on the web at redbarnradio.com. And now, once again, please welcome back Letters of Acceptance to the Red Barn stage.
Every day you wander out and find the cards you're gonna play, then stake the smallest claim you could fathom. Every night you can predict precisely when to flick the light. It is your royal flight, it's your pattern. He is a modern man. He looks around at all he knows and understands. He has a job he can't stand, but on this night he sees an opening. For tonight you're gonna breathe. For tonight you're just a stranger to me. Yeah. Over there, that's where a man got stabbed and pummeled with a chair. And in that corner there, nothing happened. Just outside, that's where the world defending forces will collide. If you stand by my side, then I'll stay open tonight. Box of Quarters plays a band called Separate Ways. Box of Quarters plays a band called Separate Ways. Every hour that I spend here just delays, but oh, how I try. In my life, I've got a painfully predictable timeline. It makes my eyelids shine, colors nobody finds. He is a modern man. He looks around and finds religion where he can. He has his favorite brands, and royal patterns is the place he lands. For tonight you're gonna breathe. For tonight you're just a stranger to me. Yeah. Open tonight. Open tonight. Open tonight. Open tonight.
All right.
Thank you all so much.
Nice
Thank you,
job.
Red Barn Radio, for having
Nice
us.
job. Well, that's all for our show for this week. You can see and hear Red Barn Radio worldwide as we stream live on the web on YouTube and Twitch Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America, and archive performances on Spotify and video on the Red Barn Radio YouTube channel, including this evening's live stream from start to finish. Also, be sure to check out our social media for updates to our upcoming schedule. Now, from all of us here at Red Barn Radio to all of our friends worldwide, it's our hope that you have a great week. Keep working together to be safe and healthy. And until next time, good night from Red Barn Radio.